Hey everybody, Captain Lou here with another edition of Tigers Daily live here on the Fan Arts Network. Happy Friday, June the 26th, 2026. Well, not so happy of a Friday for the Tigers as they dropped game one of the 4-game set with the Houston Astros. Game number 7 of this 10-game homestand. Another wasted gem by a Tigers starting pitcher as they drop it 2-1 to the Houston Astros. Troy Melton had a perfect game going through 5 innings and then got touched up by Taylor Trammell, a long blast down to right field to make it 1-0 in favor of the Astros. That's where it would stand until the top of the ninth with a sacrifice fly from Isaac Paredes off of Kalen Jansen to make it 2-0. The Tigers would cut the lead to 1, but that's all they could muster in this 2-1 loss. We talked about Troy Melton with a gem. How about his counterpart, Tatsuya Amai? 10 strikeouts, 1 hit through 6 innings as well. Just a single from Riley Green in the 5th inning. That's all he could get as Houston just baffled the Tigers starters again. And then the relief pitching held up for the Astros until the 9th when it was Dylan Dingler who stepped up to the plate and got a moonshot down center field straightaway, almost straightaway center field, 432 feet, his 18th home run of the year. That cut the lead to 2-1. Then there was a little bit of hope as Riley Green then hit the next pitch into right field, a solid single to right. The Tigers had the tying run on first base, the winning run at the plate in the form of Colt Keith, but he hit a line shot on the right side. Unfortunately for the Tigers, with Riley Green on first, he was being held there, obviously, and it was right to the glove. An easy double play to end the game for the Tigers as they lost 2-1 to the Astros. And it was funny because right before that, in the 8th inning for the Tigers, Hoon-Yoon Lee got a 2-out single right up the gut, if you will, right through the pitcher's box. And then it was Kevin McGonigal who hit a shot down the right side. And again, with holding the bag on first, it was an easy out for the Astros, and they were able to hold on and beat the Tigers by the score of 2-1. The Tigers, again, could only muster 5 hits. We've said it all year. The Tigers need more than that if they want to contend in the American League. And, especially as watered down and as pathetic as the American League is this year, the Tigers just couldn't do it as they fall in game number 7 of this 10-game homestand, 2-1. Now, we mentioned the pitching gems. First for the Tigers, Troy Melton again, 6 innings. He gave up 2 hits, the 1 home run, the 1 run, struck out 6, no walks, perfect through 5. Tatsuyama Amai, 6 innings. He gave up 1 hit, 10 strikeouts, a couple of walks, and that was it. He got the win. So again, another pitcher's duel. The thing that's frustrating to me about this with the Tigers, the Astros came into this series with a team ERA of 4.76. That's like 5th worst in Major League Baseball. The Tigers came in with a batting average of .235, which is right about 7th worst. So I guess pitching beats hitting, right, when it comes to these kind of things. But the Tigers looked meek. And then towards the end, they looked like they were pressing, starting to swing at some bad pitches in the 7th and 8th inning. And in the top, just about the top of the batting order, they thought for a minute the Tigers might be able to spark a comeback, but it was just too little too late as the Tigers lost that one by the score of 2-1. Now, we mentioned it was a big game for the Tigers. The White Sox and the Guardians both off tonight. The Tigers couldn't gain any ground, so now they're 8 games out of first place in the American League Central, exactly halfway through this regular season. So now they are 13 games under 500, 34 and 47. So not a good look for the Tigers right now. Take that, they're 12 games under 500, 13 games under 500, 34 and 47. I beg your pardon. And now they are going to be 5.5, or they're probably still going to be 5 games out of the wild card position. So they didn't gain any ground there in the wild card. And, after a while, it gets tough to be looking at it half full, the glass half full. All these chances that the Tigers have had to gain some ground. They started with that weekend sweep over over the White Sox rather, where they picked up 2 games in the standings. But now they pretty much are starting to lose that as the Guardians and the White Sox beat each other up. It'd have been a golden opportunity if they could have took at least 1 more game from the Yankees and then tonight from the Astros. Now, we said 7-3 in this 10-game stretch. That's what Detroit needed to do in this homestand to try to make up some ground. Well, they still can, but they're going to have to win out against the Houston Astros starting tonight. Well, I want to tell you something. Here in Detroit, this is the hardest thing to do, right? Hit a baseball. Now, if you look at the screen, the low-scoring one-run game droughts. The reason I bring this up, the Tigers this season are 4-35 when they score under 4 runs. Now, I know a lot of times it's tough to win games when you score under 4 runs, but tonight's an example where they probably should have won this one. They could have won it 3-2 or whatever. They just couldn't get the timely hitting. Again, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, this Houston Astros team with an ERA 4 3/4, 4.76, and they couldn't muster 3 runs off of them. Detroit in one-run games at home, at Comerica this year. This is the staggering number, 1-18. You can't make that up. You're not going to win any divisions. You're not going to win a wild card spot. You're not going to win many series at home when you've got this kind of record, these kind of records right now. There's going to be games where you only score 2 or 3 runs. Some of those you got to win. You would think the law of averages, you would win at least 10, maybe 15. I don't expect a winning record when you've got under 4 runs when you're scoring 3 runs, but maybe 17-20 or 14-24 or something to that effect. Not 4-35. That's staggering to me. If you're a Tigers fan, it goes to the lack of hitting. It all goes back to the lack of timely hitting. You've got a superstar in the making in Kevin McGonigal. You've got Riley Green. Kerry Carpenter hasn't been doing much lately. But you got Kerry Carpenter. You've got Dylan Dingler having an all-star year, a breakout year for Dylan Dingler. And it's just being wasted right now. So those 2 staggering stats that I bring you right there on the screen, 4-35 in games where they score under 4 runs. They're like 32-14 when they score, 31-14 when they score under or over, or 4 and over. But the staggering one, especially at home, 1-18 in one-run games. That's just mind-boggling to me. Is this really that hard to hit at home? This little baseball right here, obviously it is. Now you ask yourself, what's the hardest thing to do? Is it to shoot a 3-point shot? Yeah, the hardest thing to do is to hit a 100-mile-an-hour fastball. I get it. But Detroit's making it look like it's almost impossible. These one-run games are tough. It's just tough to take. And especially with that record at 1-18 at home at Comerica Park this year. I saw that today, and it just absolutely blew me away. Now, again, we go back to the pitching staff for the Tigers. And that stat that we bring up every day, Troy Melton gave up only 1 run in 6 innings. So that's now 29 straight games where the Tigers have given up 4 runs. Their starters have given up 4 runs or less. That, of course, is leading the American League, but they've got nothing to show for it. Now, as we mentioned, 5 games out of the wild card when they've had some opportunities. Now 8 games out of first place in the American League Central. And again, with only 5 teams above 500 in the American League, you would think this would be the time for the Tigers to try to get back in it. Well, now, when you've got situations like this, and the Tigers can't seem to get out of their own way, they're kind of stuck in neutral, if you will, the trade winds start to blow, and they're starting to pick up steam. And we know everybody's number 1 trade target right now is Tarik Skubal of the Detroit Tigers. He had a decent outing on Wednesday against the Yankees, scheduled to pitch again next week in the Bronx against the Yankees. Depending on if Flaherty comes back, it's either going to be Monday or Tuesday he's going to get the start. Well, right now, ESPN had a story where it's an 85% chance that Tarik Skubal gets traded before the trade deadline coming up on August 3rd. Now, we all know his contract situation where he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year, and he's got Scott Boras as his agent. So many teams are looking for him. All the contenders are going to want Skubal. There's no doubt about it. But I was thinking about a team, one of the teams that really may come to the forefront, and I read a story today. look out for the Atlanta Braves maybe to up the ante a little bit. Now, the Braves, at one time in the National League East, saw their lead 10 games over the New York Mets, the Philadelphia Phillies, the Washington Nationals. You take the pick. It was right around 9 or 10 games at the beginning of June. Now the lead's down to 4.5, potentially 5 over the Philadelphia Phillies, who are playing great baseball under interim manager Don Mattingly. Well, the Braves got some young pitchers in the minor leagues. I know their top 2 prospects, Cam Caminiti and J.R. Ritchie, to keep an eye on. Now, here's the question. Is that where the Tigers want to go? Is that all they think they could get? Maybe one of those prospects. Caminiti is an interesting one. He's rated the number 1 prospect in the minor league system for the Braves. Now, I don't know if they'd be willing to part with him, but I think Detroit, that would be the number 1 ticket I'd go after. He was a 2-position athlete coming in the draft. Some may think he was going to play center field, but he has shined. Now, he's at high A ball for the Atlanta Braves, but they're projecting him to potentially make the fast rise up to the majors potentially at the end of next year. Now you're saying, okay, Detroit wants to go after another arm. They need bats. Well, there really isn't anybody, maybe the top 5 or 6 prospects. Again, I look at J.R. Ritchie. He's the number 2 prospect. He's already completed Tommy John surgery. He's getting high marks for his fastball in high A as well for the Atlanta Braves. Now, there's been some talk during the season at the beginning of the year that Ronald Acuna Jr. might be available. His production has tailed off a little bit. He'd be perfect in right field for the Tigers. He's got 12 home runs on the regular season. Maybe a combination of both. But the Braves are starting to take front and center. Now, I know you've got all the other standbys. You've got the Yankees. You've got the Brewers. You've got the Dodgers. The Dodgers, of course, so well stocked in their minor league system. But they've got a 9-game lead right now over the Padres. So their sense of urgency, I don't know if it's going to be there like the Braves. I really think the Braves might become the trade partner for Skubal here in the coming weeks. Skubal's price is going to go up, especially as he continues to pitch well. Now, some may say he didn't have the greatest outing Wednesday night against the Yankees. Gave up 3 home runs, but 2 of them were against Paul Goldschmidt. And as Skubal talked after the game yesterday, said Goldie's got his number. I think he's got like a .556 career batting average or something crazy like that against Skubal. One of those shots yesterday, a moon shot to right, a 2-run shot to right. It was crazy. Or no, it was a solo home run. That's right. He had 2 solo shots because Skubal didn't give up a hit except to him through 5 innings. Skubal ended up giving up 3 home runs yesterday, but he had 9 strikeouts, kind of a typical Skubal outing where he's going to get 8+ strikeouts. So I know he's the number 1 pitcher on the wish list for a lot of teams, and I know the Braves are looking strongly at him. GM Alex Anthopoulos has got him on the top of his Christmas list, and I know he'd love to have him. But the other question that the Braves I know are looking at is they want to sign somebody long term. I don't know if they really want to consider him if they want him they're not looking for a rental, I guess is what I'm getting at. So I don't know, that's going to be something to keep in mind. That's where some of these other teams might play more of an opportunity to snag up Skubal. But as much as I want Tarik Skubal in the lineup and I want the Tigers to win, just like everybody else does, you got to start thinking about what we could get in return. The Tigers are spinning their wheels right now. They've had their opportunities. This was the month to do it, and they just can't get out of their own way. Games like last night, Thursday, when they only get 5 hits against a below-average Houston Astros team, a below-average Houston pitching staff who had all 3 of their left-handed relievers unavailable because they were used so much in the previous series. So Skubal will be under the microscope again. We're going to talk about him ad nauseum with the trade wins along with some of the other pitchers for the Tigers. So we'll keep that in mind. But watch out for the Braves. I still think Cam Caminiti might be there. He's going to be their target, the Tigers' target. He's their number 1 prospect. Maybe J.R. Ritchie. We'll keep an eye on that. And some immediate help. Could they throw Ronald Acuna Jr. in there? Those are the 3 names to keep an eye on for the Atlanta Braves. All right, game 2 for the Tigers coming up tonight. It's going to be Kiter Montero against Arquette. Arquette's given up quite a few home runs lately for the Astros. Can the Tigers get out of their own way? Can the Tigers, again, make some hay while the sun shines? Montero comes in with a 3-5 record, but he pitched very well last weekend for the Tigers. So I'm not worried about the Tigers pitching. It's evident. They pitched really well. 29 starts with their starters, 4 runs or fewer. That's not the issue. It's hitting this thing right here. The Tigers can't put it together. I would say this is I would almost say this is a must win for the Tigers, because we talked about it at the beginning of the homestand. 7-3. That's where the Tigers got to get in this 10-game homestand. So that means they got to win out. They got to win tonight with Montero on the mound, and then tomorrow with Framber Valdez. And then on Sunday, that's the question mark for the Tigers. Is it going to be Jack Flaherty taking the bump for the Tigers on Sunday? We'll talk about that this weekend. We'll get more news on it. His Tuesday night start, he threw 83 pitches, 7 strikeouts, gave up a couple of home runs, but one was the first batter and one was his last batter that he faced in 5 2/3 innings. Overall, a very good outing for the Erie Seawolves for Jack Flaherty in his rehab start. So we'll keep an eye on that for Sunday. But tonight, it's Kiter Montero taking the bump for the Tigers against Arquette for the Houston Astros. Game 2 of a very, very crucial 4-game set. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of Tigers Daily. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. I want to thank everybody for taking time out to be with us here on the Tigers Daily on the Fan Arts Network. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. You can get all of our great content archived and live right here, and check out all of the shows on the Fan Art Network. But make sure you subscribe to Tigers Daily. We'll keep you up to date on all the latest trade rumors and all the Tigers news every day right here. Until tomorrow, Captain Lou saying keep your heads up, keep your sticks down, keep your feet moving, and as always, keep your minds open. So long.